Hey guys, hope you've had a good day today and that you've also taken some time to spend with the Lord through prayer, through worship, and through reading His Word. Speaking of His Word, the daily reading today was 2 Corinthians chapters 10 through 13. I'm going to briefly just pull out one point per chapter just to speak with you on, and hopefully you'll take some time to read those chapters as well. In chapter 10, you see it focused on spiritual warfare, specifically verse 4, which I'll read that now. It says, "The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds." We are to use God's divine power through prayer, through reading His Word, and having faith to overcome those spiritual battles. It's so important for us to read His Word, to spend time with Him. You know, we don't fight just this physical fight in the flesh. It's spiritual. The weapons that we need to be spiritual to fight back. And what greater weapon than the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God. Also in chapter 11, you see this authentic ministry. In fact, verse 30 says this, "If I must boast, I will boast of the things that show my weakness." We are to serve Christ with humility. And let our sacrifices show His work in our lives. You know, He chooses us. And oftentimes we look and go, "God, why would you choose me?" Because we know our own flaws and our own weaknesses. And yet He sees something so much more than we do. I'm so thankful that even knowing how I am weak and so unworthy, He sees something more in me. And that He is willing to use me, and that through me, even in my weaknesses, He is made strong. He is shown strong to the world. I'm thankful for that. In verse 12, or chapter 12, it's God's power and weakness. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." We are to trust God's grace to work through our weaknesses and reveal His strength, which really ties into the previous chapter as well. We are weak. He is not. He is strong. He is amazing. I'm so thankful that He can look upon me and see something worth giving life to. And in that, I can walk in Him in victory, and I can walk in Him and show others that even though I am weak, He is not. No matter the circumstance that I face, He has given me so much grace. And I can walk in that victory and in that love and in that joy because of Him. You know, our lives should be a reflection of Him and should testify to His goodness. And lastly, in chapter 13, it's the self-examination. In verse 5, "Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves." We're supposed to reflect on faith regularly to ensure we're living in alignment with the Word of God and with Christ. He has done so much for us. And if we don't pick up the Bible, if we don't read His Word, how do you know how to live for Him? It's instructions for us. It's a challenge. It's an encouragement. There's so much meat in the Bible for us to consume. It's so wonderful for us to have at our fingertips. And we are so blessed to be able to have that, to have access to the Word of God. And we are supposed to take that, to know it, to live it. I hope that as you've reflected on what's being spoken, and hopefully as you've read these chapters, that it challenges you to remember that while we are weak, He is not. And that our very lives should be a reflection of Him, of His goodness, of His grace and mercy. And that we can go into the world facing spiritual battles, but knowing that we have Him on our side. And if we know the Word of God and live it, then we have that